Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing. Today I'm going to show you my favorite binding hack. This is a really easy way to get your binding folded around to the other side and have it stay in place. So it's great if you have trouble keeping it in place, or maybe you have arthritis in your hands, and it just makes it really, really easy. I do this a lot when I'm trying to I'm on a deadline and I need to photograph a quilt, and so I just iron it on with some steam and then bind it by hand later. But we recently had a friend of mine bound a quilt for us, and I had done this, and she's like, hey, the next time I do this, can you please do this for me? Because it made it so much easier. I didn't have to, and faster too, because you don't have to spend the time folding that binding over. Let me show you how I do it here. So I've got a placemat here that is ready to be bound. This would also be great too if you want to do machine binding on it. I made this with my daughter. We've got a little video on that. We'll link it in the video description down below. And so what you need is an iron and a 1/4 inch fusible tape that has a paper backing on it. Steam is a really popular one, but really any one is fine. So what I do is I kind of start in the corner, and I'm just going to flip this up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull the tape back. This is usually pretty sticky stuff, so I can pretty easily just get it to kind of stick in place. And I'm just kind of pressing it down a little bit at a time, just a couple inches at a time, because it's not like it stays real well at this point. And then what you want to do is, holding it in one hand, you want to just fold that over. And sometimes when you enter in a local guild show, they'll say that your binding didn't fill all the way out to the edge. So what you want to do is, when you're folding this over, make sure that you can feel that the edge of your fabric is truly even with the edge of your quilt. So the corner is the trickiest part. You want to spend a little bit of extra time there getting that down. But once you have it down, you're good to go. And then just working a couple inches at a time and trying not to twist the tape. What I do is I just kind of work down. So I'll get, maybe like 3 inches down here, and I'll get that part in line, and then I'll scooch it over. And I'm just making sure, again, that that binding is filling all the way to the edge, and I'm not feeling it roll back on me or any gaps. And then I'll just go over with my iron. And I'm just going to keep working this way until I get to the edge. All right, so now I've gotten mostly to the edge here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tear the sticky part, pull the other part to the side, and I'm just going to lay that down into the corner and continue folding all the way out. If it tears on you, no big deal. You can just shove a little bit more in there and you're good to go. It is really a very forgiving process. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and press that corner to start that miter. So this is really the only tricky part, because we don't want to see that fusible tape on the edge of this. We want it to be nice and invisible. So what I do is I will line this up right up to the edge here, and just make sure that I am not going to be going over there. This also will allow you to adjust it a little bit when you get to actually sewing the miter down. So I got that there. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting it where those points are matching up the way they would if I were doing this by hand, because I probably am going to go back and do this by hand later, but it also holds it down and in place really nicely if you want to do it by machine too. All right, so that is looking pretty good. So I'm just going to continue going down and doing those corners all the way around. And this works really well on a large quilt as well. I just take it over to the large ironing board in that case, so I can do several feet at a time. All right, so this looks pretty good. You can see it's nice and even from the front. We've got some really nice miters here. And when we flip it over to the back, we also have nice, evenly spaced on the back side. It looks really good. Again, this is not a permanent solution. Before you wash this or use it, you definitely need to make sure that you are going to stitch that down either by hand or machine. But it's a really great way to get everything in place, so that way you just have to worry about keeping your stitch even and not so much about getting everything folded over. And you can still, there's definitely some play here, so you can definitely move the miters around a little bit if you need to when you are sewing. I really like it because it gives you a nice finished look right away, and also it makes it a lot faster when you're going through and sewing the binding down. One of my biggest reasons why I don't like doing it by machine is because on the back, I feel like no matter what I do, it ends up looking wonky. But this way, you know, we've got it nice and secure. It's already down, it's nice and even, so it's gonna look good and consistent no matter what you do. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little hack to have better binding when you are working on your quilts at home. Again, I do this on really big quilts all the time. I've done this on a queen size quilt. I just obviously am working on my big iron instead of my tiny little pressing surface that I was doing for the placemat. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You also can sign up for emails over at shop.quiltaddictsanonymous.com. We put out free weekly video tutorials and sometimes a bonus one like this one every week. And you can also get 10% off your first order from us online. We have all types of modern quilting supplies, including this jelly roll, if we still have it by the time this comes out. And you can see a video on how to make the Quilt As You Go placemats, and in this case, how to make them with your little one. My 5-year-old actually sewed this all herself, and we did a little video on it. It was her first time using the sewing machine, so you get some tips and tricks on how to get the next generation interested in sewing. So we've got lots more, so go check us out over at shop.quiltaddictsanonymous.com, and until next time, happy quilting.